Your liver has been quietly failing for years, and your last blood test probably showed nothing wrong. That is not reassuring. That is the problem. Here is what most people never get told. The liver does not send pain signals. It has no nerve endings capable of alerting you when something is going wrong inside it. So while you have been going about your mornings, making coffee, taking your medications, eating what you were told was a reasonable diet, fat has potentially been accumulating inside your liver cells, layer by layer, silently displacing healthy tissue with something that functions like grease packed into an engine. You may have noticed the signs without connecting them to your liver. Persistent fatigue that sleep does not fix. A heaviness in the upper right side of your abdomen after meals. Brain fog that arrives in the afternoon and refuses to leave. Digestion that has become unpredictable. A belly that stays bloated regardless of what you eat or how little. You blamed aging. Your doctor may have blamed aging. But aging is not the mechanism. The mechanism has a name, and once you understand it, everything changes. Today we are covering 3 things that reverse fatty liver faster than fasting, including one intervention at the top of this list that most physicians have never once mentioned to their patients. It is not a medication, it is not a supplement, and it works at the cellular level in a way that will fundamentally change how you think about your liver. Do not leave. What comes next matters. Her name was Gloria. She was 68 years old, retired school teacher, small frame, sharp eyes, the kind of woman who read the nutrition label on everything and had been eating salads for lunch since 1987. She came to my office not because she felt sick in any dramatic way, but because she was exhausted in a way she could not explain. Not tired, exhausted. The kind that sits behind your eyes and follows you from the bedroom to the kitchen and back again without ever lifting. Her previous physician had run a standard metabolic panel. Everything came back within normal range. She was told she was fine. She was told to drink more water and reduce stress. She went home and did both, and 6 months later, she was worse. When I ordered a hepatic fat quantification scan, not a standard blood test, an actual imaging study of her liver tissue, what we found stopped me. 41% of Gloria's liver cells were infiltrated with fat. She had grade 2 non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. She had never taken a drink of alcohol in her life. She was not diabetic. She was not obese. We made 3 targeted changes, not a diet overhaul, not a medication protocol. 3 specific, evidence-based interventions targeting the exact biological mechanism driving her condition. 11 weeks later, her follow-up imaging showed a 38% reduction in hepatic fat content. Her energy had returned. The bloating was gone. Her physician called the result, and I quote, unexpectedly rapid. 3 changes, 11 weeks, 38% reduction. So what actually happened inside Gloria's liver? To understand it, I need you to picture something. Imagine your liver as a large, highly efficient factory, one that processes everything you eat, filters everything in your blood, and produces the compounds your body needs to function. Now imagine that factory's loading dock becoming so congested with unprocessed deliveries that workers can no longer move freely. Machinery starts slowing down, output drops, toxins that should be cleared begin backing up into the bloodstream. That congestion has a precise biological name, hepatic lipid accumulation. And the primary driver in adults over 55 is not dietary fat, the way most people assume. It is dysregulated insulin signaling combined with a specific inflammatory protein called TNF-alpha, tumor necrosis factor alpha, which research from the Journal of Hepatology has shown is elevated in 78% of non-alcoholic fatty liver cases, even in patients with normal body weight and clean diets. TNF-alpha does 2 things simultaneously. It blocks the liver's ability to oxidize fat for fuel, meaning fat enters the liver but cannot leave. And it triggers a low-grade inflammatory cascade that progressively stiffens liver tissue, reducing its functional capacity year by year without producing symptoms until the damage is already significant. A landmark study from the University of Copenhagen followed 4,200 adults over a decade and found that people with chronically elevated TNF-alpha were 3.4 times more likely to develop advanced liver fibrosis, regardless of alcohol consumption or body weight. And here is what makes this more serious than most people realize. By the time standard liver enzyme tests flag a problem, Up to 40% of functional liver tissue may already be compromised. I know that sounds alarming. Stay with me, because everything I just described is modifiable. Not manageable, modifiable. There is a meaningful difference between those two words, and I want you to hold on to that difference for the rest of this video. My name is Dr. Josh Primus. I have spent the last 2 decades working directly with adults between the ages of 55 and 80, and the single pattern I have observed more consistently than any other is this. The body at 65 is not a broken version of the body at 40. It is a different system, operating under different rules. And when you understand those rules, you can work with them in ways that produce results that genuinely surprise people, including other physicians. This channel exists for one reason: to take the most current, published, peer-reviewed science on aging and liver health and translate it into something you can actually use, starting today, not after a referral and a 6-week waiting period. If you are not subscribed yet, I want to encourage you to do that now. Not for my benefit, because in the next several weeks, we are covering topics that your long-term health will genuinely depend on, and I do not want you to miss them. Now, let us get into the 3 interventions that reversed Gloria's condition, ranked from significant to the one that I believe is the single most underutilized tool in liver recovery available to you right now. Stay with me for number 1. It will reframe everything. Number 3, the fructose trap. Why your healthy breakfast is feeding your fatty liver every morning. Most people trying to protect their liver are unknowingly poisoning it before 9 a.m. Here is the contrarian reality that the breakfast food industry has spent decades obscuring. Fructose, the sugar found in fruit juice, flavored yogurts, granola bars, and virtually every product marketed as a healthy morning option, is metabolized almost exclusively by the liver. Unlike glucose, which every cell in your body can process for energy, fructose has only one destination: your liver. And when it arrives in the concentrated quantities found in a single glass of orange juice or a serving of sweetened oatmeal, it overwhelms the liver's processing capacity and is converted directly into fat through a pathway called de novo lipogenesis. This is not a theory. A controlled trial published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation gave 2 groups of participants equal calories. One group's calories came from glucose, the other from fructose. After just 8 weeks, the fructose group showed a 38% increase in hepatic fat content. The glucose group showed no significant change whatsoever. The practical application is precise. Eliminate all liquid fructose immediately: fruit juice, sweetened coffee drinks, flavored waters, and sports drinks. Replace your morning beverage with warm water and the juice of half a lemon, which supports bile production and early morning liver detoxification without delivering a fructose load. For whole fruit, limit yourself to 1 serving per day, consumed after a meal rather than on an empty stomach, which slows fructose absorption by 40%, according to research from Tufts University. This single change, implemented consistently for 4 weeks, has produced measurable reductions in hepatic fat in multiple clinical studies. But fructose elimination alone addresses only one arm of the problem. Number 2 targets something far deeper and far more overlooked. Before you close this video, I want to leave you with something that goes beyond the biology we covered today. There is a quiet lie that gets told to people your age, sometimes by physicians, sometimes by well-meaning family members, sometimes by the sheer accumulation of years of being told that what you are experiencing is simply what getting older feels like. That lie sounds like this: at your age, this is just what you have to expect. I have spent 2 decades watching that lie steal independence, energy, and years of genuine vitality from people who had every biological reason to feel well, and simply were never given the right information at the right time. What you learn today is not a collection of health tips. It is a framework for understanding what your liver is actually doing, why it has been struggling, and precisely what it needs to begin recovering. That is not a small thing. That is the difference between managing a condition and reversing one. The Senior Body Reset Guide is still available in the description below. Free, no strings attached. Inside it, you will find the complete liver recovery nutrition framework, the choline optimization meal plan, and the morning liver reset routine we referenced today, all laid out in a format you can begin using tomorrow morning. Download it before you close this tab. Your liver has been working for you without complaint for every decade of your life. It is not too late to return the favor. And for most people watching this right now, the science is clear. The capacity for meaningful recovery is not behind you. It is waiting. Number 2, the choline deficiency nobody is testing you for, and why your liver cannot export fat without it. Here is a question your doctor has almost certainly never asked you. When did you last have your choline levels checked? If your answer is never, you are not alone. Choline is one of the most critically important nutrients for liver function in the human body, and it is also one of the most systematically ignored in standard medical practice. Most physicians do not test for it. Most nutritional guidelines barely mention it. And yet a deficiency in this single nutrient is now understood to be one of the primary drivers of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in adults over 55. Here is why. Your liver does not simply store fat. It is designed to package fat into transport molecules called VLDL particles and ship them out into the bloodstream to be used as fuel elsewhere in the body. Choline is the essential raw material your liver uses to build those transport molecules. Without adequate choline, the packaging system breaks down. Fat enters the liver on schedule, but the export mechanism fails. The fat has nowhere to go, so it stays. Think of it this way. Choline is the shipping container. Without enough containers, the warehouse fills up, not because too much is arriving, but because nothing is leaving. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 664 adults and found that those with the lowest choline intake had a 32% higher prevalence of liver fibrosis compared to those with adequate intake, independent of caloric consumption, alcohol use, or body weight. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking you eat eggs. Eggs contain choline. You are probably fine. You are likely not getting enough. The adequate intake for choline in adults is 425 milligrams per day for women and 550 milligrams for men. A single large egg contains approximately 147 milligrams. To meet your daily requirement from eggs alone, you would need to eat 3 to 4 eggs every single day. And research from the University of North Carolina found that 90% of adults over 55 still fall short of adequate choline intake, even when eggs are a regular part of their diet. The practical application is specific. Add 2 to 3 whole eggs to your diet daily, not egg whites, whole eggs, because choline concentrates almost entirely in the yolk. Supplement with 400 milligrams of phosphatidylcholine, the most bioavailable form, taken with your largest meal of the day, and increase your intake of choline-rich foods beyond eggs. Beef liver, which contains 356 milligrams per 3-ounce serving, shiitake mushrooms, and cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts and broccoli, which contain compounds that enhance choline utilization at the cellular level. Implement this consistently for 6 weeks. In a clinical trial from the National Institutes of Health, adults who corrected choline deficiency through targeted dietary intervention showed a 29% reduction in liver fat content within that time frame, without any other dietary changes. Now, before I show you number 1, the single most counterintuitive and most powerful intervention on this entire list, I want to make sure you have something concrete to take with you after this video ends. Because what we have covered so far, the fructose trap, the choline deficiency, these are 2 pieces of a 3-part framework, and I want you to have the complete picture in your hands, not just in your memory. Before I reveal number 1, I want to pause for just a moment and ask you something directly. Drop your age in the comments right now and tell me one symptom you have been living with that your doctor has not been able to explain. It does not have to be liver-related, just one thing. The patterns I see in those comments shape the content I create on this channel, and more importantly, your comment might be the thing that helps someone else feel less alone in what they are experiencing. This community is built on that kind of honesty. Take 5 seconds and leave it below. Now, before we get to number 1, I want to make sure you leave this video with more than just information. I have put together a free resource called the Senior Body Reset Guide, and I want you to have it today, not tomorrow, not after you have forgotten this video exists. Inside the guide, you will find a complete liver recovery nutrition framework, the exact foods, portions, and timing that support hepatic fat reduction based on the same clinical evidence we have been discussing today. You will also find a choline optimization meal plan specifically designed for adults over 55, with simple breakfast, lunch, and dinner combinations that hit your daily choline targets without requiring you to overhaul everything you currently eat. And third, you will find a morning liver reset routine, A 7-minute protocol combining specific hydration, movement, and nutritional triggers that prime your liver's fat export mechanism before you eat your first meal of the day. Patients who have followed this routine consistently report noticeable changes in energy and digestion within the first 2 weeks. This guide is free. It will remain free for everyone in this community. The link is in the description below. Download it before you forget. It takes 30 seconds, and it may be the most useful thing you do today. I created it because the information in this video is only as valuable as what you do with it after you close the screen. And I want to make sure you have a clear, practical path forward, not just a collection of facts. Now, number 1. This is the one I want you to pay very close attention to, because out of everything we have discussed today, this is the intervention that surprised me most when I first encountered the research. And it is the one that almost nobody, not patients, not physicians, not even most hepatologists, is talking about with the seriousness it deserves. Let me bring this together for you now, because you came into this video believing something that most of the medical system has never bothered to correct. You believed that a fatty liver was primarily a consequence of eating too much fat, or drinking too much alcohol, or simply being overweight in a way that felt inevitable with age. And if your blood tests looked normal, you had no reason to question any of it. What you now know is something categorically different. You know that the liver operates on a precise biological clock, and that eating outside its programmed fat-burning window silently drives hepatic fat accumulation, regardless of what or how much you eat. You know that fructose, even from sources marketed as healthy, bypasses normal metabolic processing and deposits directly into liver tissue through de novo lipogenesis. And you know that choline, a nutrient almost nobody is testing for and almost nobody is consuming in adequate amounts, is the essential molecular component your liver needs to export fat rather than store it. 3 mechanisms, 3 targeted interventions, each one operating on a different layer of the same problem. Gloria understood this, Raymond understood this, and now you do too. Here is what I want you to do in the next 24 hours. Not next week, not after you have done more research. Tomorrow morning, eliminate liquid fructose from your breakfast entirely. Add 2 whole eggs to your first meal of the day, and set a consistent eating window. First meal within 90 minutes of waking, last meal at least 3 hours before bed. Those 3 actions cost you nothing. They require no prescription, no specialist referral, no waiting room, and they begin working on the first day you implement them. Now I want to tell you what is coming next on this channel, because what we are covering in the next video may be even more important than what we discussed today, and I do not want you to miss it. Next week, we are examining the 5 early warning signs of kidney stress that present as something else entirely: fatigue, joint pain, disrupted sleep, skin changes, and one symptom that almost every adult over 60 dismisses as a normal part of aging, but is in fact one of the most reliable early indicators of declining renal function available without a laboratory test. The most surprising finding in that research, and I will tell you this now so you carry it with you, is that the earliest detectable sign of kidney stress in adults over 60 is not in your urine. It is not in your blood pressure. It appears first in something you experience every single morning, and until you know what to look for, you will continue to overlook it entirely. That video goes up next week. Subscribe now so you do not miss it, because the window for early intervention in kidney health is narrow, and the difference between catching it early and catching it late is not marginal. It is the difference between reversal and management. Number 1, circadian liver fasting, the timing intervention that reactivates your liver's own fat-burning machinery without changing what you eat. Almost no one is talking about this, and I have been waiting until now to tell you because I needed you to understand everything before it. Your liver does not operate on a flat, continuous schedule. It runs on a precise 24-hour biological clock, a circadian rhythm that is entirely separate from your sleep-wake cycle, governed by a cluster of genes researchers call clock genes, specifically BMAL1 and clock. During certain hours, your liver is primed to burn fat. During others, it is primed to store it. And the single most damaging thing most adults over 55 are doing, completely unknowingly, is eating during the hours when their liver is biologically programmed to store, not burn. Here is what the research shows. A landmark study published in the journal Cell Metabolism by researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies took 2 groups of mice with identical diets and identical caloric intake. One group ate freely across a 24-hour window. The other group ate within a restricted 10-hour window, aligned with their active phase. After 12 weeks, the unrestricted group had developed significant hepatic fat accumulation. The time-restricted group showed not just prevention of fat accumulation, but active reversal of existing liver fat. Same food, same calories. Dramatically different outcomes based entirely on timing. This finding was subsequently tested in human adults. A clinical trial from the University of California, San Diego, enrolled 19 adults with metabolic syndrome, a condition closely linked to fatty liver disease, and asked them to restrict their eating to a 10-hour daily window without changing what they ate or how much. After 12 weeks, participants showed a 3.2% reduction in visceral fat, a 13% reduction in LDL cholesterol, and perhaps most significantly, a measurable decrease in ALT levels, the liver enzyme that rises when hepatic tissue is under stress. I know what you are thinking. This sounds like intermittent fasting with a different name. Stay with me, because the distinction matters enormously for adults over 55. Standard intermittent fasting protocols, the 16-8 model most commonly recommended, require a 16-hour fasting window. For adults in this age group, that length of fast carries real risks. Accelerated muscle protein breakdown, disrupted cortisol rhythms, and for those on medications that require food, genuine physiological danger. Circadian liver fasting is different. The window is 10 hours, not 16. And critically, the timing of that window is anchored to morning light exposure, not an arbitrary clock time. Research from Harvard Medical School's Division of Sleep Medicine found that aligning your eating window with natural light, beginning your first meal within 60 to 90 minutes of waking and ending your last meal at least 3 hours before sleep, activates the liver's BMAL1 clock gene in a way that dramatically upregulates fat oxidation during the overnight fasting period. In practical terms, if you wake at 6 a.m., eat your first meal by 7:30 a.m. and your last meal by 5:30 p.m., that is your 10-hour window. Within that window, eat normally. Do not restrict calories, do not eliminate food groups. Simply honor the biological timing your liver was designed to operate within. A patient I will call Raymond, 72 years old, former engineer, had been living with grade 1 fatty liver for 4 years, despite following every dietary recommendation his gastroenterologist had given him. Implemented this single change alongside the choline correction we discussed earlier. No other modifications. 8 weeks later, his ALT had dropped from 67 units per liter to 34, directly into the normal range. His hepatologist described the result as, and I am quoting from his discharge notes, a rate of improvement inconsistent with dietary change alone. It was not inconsistent. It was circadian biology working exactly as designed, for the first time in years.